I bet you didn't know the science behind actually changing your money habits, and it's super easy. I'm gonna break it down in this video. If you've just spent your whole life thinking that you're really bad with money and that you're a really bad spender, I'm here to give you a guide on how to change your money habits permanently. And this is backed by science. A lot of people, when they're addressing issues related to money, will go straight to setting new and audacious goals to do with money, i.e. hitting a certain number in a savings account, or trying to invest, or finally just ditching that one bad habit that drained the bank account a lot. And actually, instead of trying to hit the outcome, so the goal, the overall goal of what you're trying to do with your money, you need to actually take it back a couple of layers and focus on your identity. Now, in his book Atomic Habits, James Clear refers to this as an onion, and the onion focuses on the outcomes, which are wrapped around the processes, which are then wrapped around the identity, which sits very firmly in the middle. He says that the first layer, outcomes, is your typical trying to change the outcomes, hitting savings goals, buying a property, or going on a holiday that you couldn't afford 6 months ago. The second layer is then changing the processes, so setting up those habits and systems, things like implementing a payday routine or swapping out a habit to do with impulsive shopping for a better one. And the third most deepest layer, the root cause of all of this that influences the processes and then the outcomes, is your identity, and that is your beliefs, how you see the world, how you see yourself, and then the judgments that you make on yourself and the world based on that. And when you try to make changes to the outcomes without addressing the processes or the identity, you end up just making changes that are very surface level, literally surface level of the onion, and are then just not sustainable or will not last long term. And focusing on your identity is why I talk so much about learning your habits with money and learning about your deep-rooted issues with money, which brings me on to the second part of how to change your habits with money. Trying to learn about the root cause of your money issues and getting into the nitty-gritty of your money identity goes back to when you were young. What we saw, heard, and experienced before the age of 7 is what kind of stays in our subconscious mind long throughout our lifetime. So a lot of our issues and the ways we maybe experienced money will be based on our childhood, and what we believe about money will be based on our childhood. And whether you want to do this through journaling, simply kind of writing these questions down and having a think about how you'd answer them, I think you should consider these things when trying to figure out your money identity and trying to take yourself back to your childhood. What did your parents actually say about money, and how was social status kind of viewed in your household? What did you personally experience or witness about money while you were growing up? Were there situations that stick out in your mind that taught you lessons about money, whether those are good or bad lessons? A lot of common beliefs about wealthy or rich people: I'm not one of those people, or rich people are greedy, wealthy people are greedy, and the very common and famous phrase, money is the root of all evil. Those all stem from the person who said that, their beliefs of the world and their experiences of money when they were younger. And your subconscious mind, having experienced all of these things when you're a child, it is just trying to protect you by holding on to these beliefs. It's trying to do you a solid and protect you from fear or anxiety around the issues that you experienced, which have now maybe led into habits such as procrastinating or overanalyzing or trying to be way too perfect with money. Another way to kind of identify how you feel with money is to notice your behaviors and notice even your internal feelings around when bills are coming up, or on payday, or when you get a bonus, or when you get more or less money than you received for something. What are the initial feelings that come, and what are the immediate actions you feel like doing? What is the initial urge that you have? When you see something on sale, what do you immediately want to do? Now, figuring out your identity around money and where it really stems from will open your eyes into the influences of your habits and your habits as they are today. And those habits are influenced by the thoughts and beliefs that stem from your identity with money. So it really goes identity, thoughts and beliefs, physical actions. And the physical actions that you do every day repeatedly. So if you're doing things every couple of days, every month, every time there's a certain same trigger, you do a certain behavior, that behavior is a habit. Everything we do day to day is a habit. Impulsively shopping, not checking your bank account, not sending away things that need to be returned, not checking for subscriptions that need to be cancelled, all these smaller things, they're habits. And these habits were formed subconsciously because of things that we've held on to in our subconscious mind. And so it's not really our fault that we do them automatically, because they're naturally not going to be the most productive things. Because like I said earlier, the brain is wired to try and keep us safe And if money is something that brings you a lot of anxiety because of whatever deep-rooted issues you have with them, then our brain is going to help us avoid getting anxious by avoiding thinking about money. So in order to change this and disrupt this, we have to proactively interrupt our thought patterns, like ourselves. So how do we do that? How do we actually interrupt the thought patterns, in turn interrupting our behaviors, interrupting our habits? We have to first identify the habits that are making us unhappy, and to do this it takes a lot of awareness in terms of, yes, our actual actions and the things we're doing with money, but also what do we define as happy and unhappy? Am I feeling unhappy because I keep expecting more to be in my bank account and there just isn't? And that's kind of a question I ask myself. So this could mean doing a little audit of yourself over a period of a week or two, or even a month, of just auditing. And by auditing, I mean kind of just maybe writing down physically or digitally, even in your notes app, just kind of keeping track of this somehow. But auditing your triggers, urges, and feelings around money as and when things happen to you. Something goes on sale, how do you feel? What do you want to do? You get paid, how do you feel? What do you feel like doing? Or someone mentions money in a very casual conversation, what is your immediate feelings that are like kind of rise to the surface? With the things that make you happy and unhappy, are they actually making you happy? And you need to really get really honest with yourself and ask yourself, the things you're doing on a weekly basis, are you doing them for you, or are you doing them just out of habit, out of guilt, out of the fear of missing out? What is it that you keep writing on your New Year's resolutions list and not actually getting around to doing? And then once you identify habits and things that are making you unhappy, or the habits that are resulting in things that are making you unhappy, it's time to then try and break the habit loop, identifying the cue, the routine, and the reward to do with these habits. And to do this productively and interrupt the habit loop permanently, we can start having a think about what actually makes us happy in this moment in time, and get a list out and kind of write down a list of things that give you a sense of joy, a sense of productiveness, or a sense of relief during the day. And these can be anything in size, so it can be from going to the gym at a certain time, or calling your parents, or calling your friends, having a little ice cream. You can just write down a little dopamine list of things that make you happy. And we can use this dopamine list to sub in some rewards for when we break the habit loop. So with your habits, try and identify the cue, the routine, and the reward. And an example for me was, and still is sometimes, is when I have a feeling of anxiousness or restlessness or boredom, my routine is to go online shopping, sometimes even window shopping. And then the reward used to be that little spike of dopamine you get when it arrives and you're kind of distracted from having a shiny new thing for a couple of hours. The reward isn't actually the thing you bought, it's the actual dopamine spike that you got from the experience of going online, shopping, having something in your basket, checking out, waiting for it to arrive, it arriving, you ripping it open, and then holding a new thing in your hand for a couple of minutes. And so knowing that it's literally just a hormonal energy thing, I don't actually know what dopamine is, I know it's happiness related, you can still get it from doing something else. So we're just going to sub in something from our dopamine list. But the key here is knowing that the habit loop is influenced directly by the money identity that we identified hopefully in the earlier part of this video. You can't rely on motivation to try and change your money habits. They have to come intrinsically, because you deserve to have better money habits and you deserve to have a better relationship with money. You are the person that is good with finances and has great financial habits, and I hope this video brought you one step closer to being that person. See you in the next one.